look good in purple. Yellow. Yellow.
Do I play or no?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I'm Terry McCauley, today's service associate, and I'm here with David Strickler, who will lead the service. Jeffrey Maxey is at the piano today, and Jenny Gottman will tell today's story. Our tech crew is led today by Krista Schneider as director, Andy Gottman controlling the cameras, and Jeff Slauson is at the soundboard. So he's going to make me sound good. Walter McGee, our producer, is away today, and we hope that he will be back with us soon. We have many more volunteers helping too, with greeters in the lobby, religious education helpers for today's RE activities. Know that we have new seekers here. We also welcome you who are joining us on our Toledo Unitarians YouTube channel. We hope this time serves your spirit.
And good morning. I'm David Strickler. I'd like to add to Terry's welcome. The flame of the chalice that we light in our services symbolizes courage and illumination, and honors our search for truth and meaning. Let's say the words for the chalice lighting together. They'll be on the screen and in the order of service while Terry lights in universalism. We light it centered in love. May it glow with sacredness and shine for each and for all. And let's continue reciting together while Terry leads us in the covenant of our congregation. This is not a creed, but what we share with general agreement.
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek and to help one another.
Practice in our Sunday services, we look beyond ourselves, considering celebrations and sorrows and the state of things. Today is Mother's Day in the United States. It was first celebrated in 1907 when Anna Jarvis held a Mother's Day service of worship at Andrews Methodist Episcopal. Jarvis was also a peace activist, so her vision for Mother's Day developed out of previous work of Unitarian Julia Ward Howe, who had issued the Mother's Day Proclamation in 1870. Howe's earlier declaration urged mothers of all nationalities to band together to promote the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace. The spiritual practice turning inward will be a meditation on the different aspects of motherhood. Today is also the anniversary of the death of Bob Marley. He was born in a rural village in Jamaica and then raised in the Trenchtown ghetto of Kingston. Bob Marley became the first pop musician from the third world to gain prominence. He sang about his religion, about one love, and about dancing. His music urged the oppressed, exploited people from around the world to get up and stand up for their fundamental human rights. In recognition of how Bob Marley used his platform, today's musical interlude will be his song, Three Little Birds. There are people in our circles who have experienced death of family and friends, and today our thoughts and condolences go out to longtime member Julia Baldwin, who is watching from home today, for the recent passing in her family. In addition, there are people who are dealing with health and illness issues, home and travel, financial security, and monetary stress. Decisions are being made by ourselves and others on how we can live our best lives, which sometimes means aspiring to that and realizing we have moves yet to make to reach our aims and goals. And individual and family ways go on, with new lives born and many other joys and celebrations. We all have had bad days and good. May kindness and gentleness be with us. May we be compassionate to all, as we don't know what other people are going through. So treat one another well, and may we be glad for their celebrations as well as for ours. Let's continue to have First Unitarian be a place of welcome, of grace, and even of refuge in hard times, and that in this religious community, we can help one another, care for ourselves, and have our part in changing the world. One reason we join together in religious gatherings is to realize common links. The uncommon is here too. Let us be together in faith, hope, and love. Now, please join in our opening hymn, number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere. And for those who are willing and able, please stand. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more.
Good morning.
There we are.
This is a true story about a pigeon who saved the lives of 194 soldiers. The pigeon's name was Cher Ami, which is French for dear friend. And the military has been using pigeons in battle for thousands of years. Cher Ami's battle took place in 1981. There was a group of Americans fighting in a forest who were completely surrounded by Germans. Due to the chaos of battle and failed communications, no one knew where they were. And the Americans were stuck there with no food, no ammunition, and soon American planes started flying overhead, dropping bombs on them. The American planes, of course, did not realize that the Americans were there. They thought that they were firing at the Germans. Because the battalion was surrounded, the person in charge, whose name was Major Charles Whittlesey, he couldn't reliably, he didn't want to send people to deliver a message. Of course, at the time they had no phones and no radios, and the only way to communicate was through writing down a message. And sending a soldier with a message would have been very dangerous. So Major Whittlesey tried to use a penguin. Nope. Didn't see that coming, did you? Major Whittlesey retrieved one of the pigeons that the battalion had brought into battle. And he wrote a message that said, "Many wounded, we cannot evacuate." And he released that pigeon. That pigeon was immediately shot down. He wrote a second message that said, "Men are suffering. Can support be sent?" He sent that second pigeon up, and that pigeon was also shot down. He sent a third message that said, "Our own artillery is dropping a barrage directly on us. For heaven's sake, stop it." He sent that pigeon up into the air. That was Cherami. Cherami was shot down. However, he managed to take flight again, and he flew 25 miles back to his post. Cherami had been shot through the breast and through the leg, and he had been blinded in one eye. Cherami left the battlefield with his message on October 4th of 1918. The Army couldn't rescue Major Whittlesey's group until October 7th, 3 days later. And by that time, of the group of more than 550 men, only 194 remained. The rest had been captured or killed. And without Cherami, it is likely that those 194 soldiers would have been captured or killed as well. The Army doctors went to work on Cherami, and they did manage to save his life. He lived for about 9 months, but he did later die of his battle wounds. His body is now at the Smithsonian Institution in an exhibit titled "Americans at War." When people talk about Cherami, they call him a hero. Pigeons are not the only animal that we have ever used in battle or other dangerous situations. What other animals do we use to help us to fight or to investigate or to rescue? Can anybody name some? Elephants, dogs, horses, mules, donkeys, canaries. I was wondering if anybody would think about canaries. Camels. People have used rats, bears, elephants, dolphins, whales. People have caused cattle stampedes, and they have even fired beehives, catapulted beehives over the line of battle and behind enemy lines. This creates an interesting question of whether and when it is okay for us to use animals to do our fighting for us. I wonder what our Unitarian Universalist values say about it. It's a complicated question. In any event, I think that it's right that our country has honored Cherami and some other animals who have fought for us, and I think it is right that we thank them for their service.
As you go on your way, may you be filled with gladness. Go enjoy, go enjoy. May fortune bless your day with peace and loving kindness. Go in love, go in love.
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smiled with the rising sun. 3 little birds pitched up my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melodies and pure and true. Saying, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Now, singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. I rose up this morning, smiled with the rising sun. Three little birds pitched by my door, melodies pure and true, sing, this is my message to you. Just don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright, yes. Sing and don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright, yeah. 'Cause every little thing gonna be alright.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Next, we'll have our spiritual practice of turning inward. Following this reading, we'll have a minute of silence. Today's meditation comes from the Reverend Evan Carville-Zemer and is entitled, Honoring the Deeper Voices. Spirit of life, today the advertising tells us what to buy for Mom. Instead, help us listen to and honor the deeper voices. Today, let us honor all of those who have made this world possible for us, those who did the hard work of building a better world for future generations. Today, let us honor the grief of those who have lost children through miscarriage, stillbirth, death, those who cannot long for children, and those, for whatever reason, cannot be in touch with their children this day. Today, let us honor the grief of those who mourn for their parents, whether separated by death, dementia, or disconnection. Today, let us honor those who fill in for missing mothering, fathers, grandparents, foster parents, aunts and uncles, and more. Today, let us honor the ways we have each been nurtured and mothered by the mothers who gave birth to us, by the parents who raised us, by those many others who have supported and nurtured us of all genders. Today, let us honor those who survived damaging and traumatic mothering. Spirit of life, help them to heal. Let us remember that not every mother is ready for her children. Let us turn aside from the myths of motherhood on a pedestal and remember each parent is an imperfect human in need of more support than adulation, in need of our support. Today, let us honor those who are doing the hard work of nurturing, striving to meet not only the physical needs, but the many deep and complicated emotional and spiritual needs. Spirit of life, nurture and sustain them so that they may be the nurturers you desire. Today, let us honor all the ways each of us give to tomorrow, knowing there are multiple paths of meaning and more than one way to birth the future. And today, with both joy and sorrow, let us be grateful for life, for the chance to love, for those who love us, and the opportunity to nurture the future. May it be so. Amen.
We have two readings today. The first one comes from Genesis chapter 8, verses 6 to 12. After 40 days, Noah opened a window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. But the dove could find nowhere to perch, because there was water all over the surface of the earth. So it returned to Noah in the ark. He waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again, but this time it did not return to him. The second reading is from Leviticus chapter 5, verses 5 to 7. When anyone becomes aware that they are guilty, they must confess in what way they have sinned. As a penalty for the sin they have committed, they must bring to the Lord a female lamb or goat from the flock as a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for them for their sin. Anyone who cannot afford a lamb is to bring 2 doves or 2 young pigeons to the Lord as a penalty for their sin, one for a sin offering, the other for a burnt offering.
In our society, pigeons are poorly understood and unfairly maligned. As today's readings suggest, the biblical writers had much higher regard for doves and therefore pigeons. I'll note that the distinction between pigeons and doves is primarily linguistic rather than taxonomic or technical. The pigeons that we commonly see bobbing their heads on city sidewalks or perched on buildings are descended from wild ancestors known as rock doves. And conversely, the white doves that are released at special events indicated history of the English language. Pigeon is a French word derived from the Latin pipio for peeping chick, while dove is a Germanic word possibly referring to the bird's diving flight. I will use these 2 names interchangeably. So returning to the Bible, doves are first mentioned in the book of Genesis. Noah and family had been on the water for at least 40 days, or perhaps 150 days. So they were eager to find land and get off that stinking ark. By bringing an olive branch back to the ark, the second dove signaled the end of God's wrath and the restoration of peace. This moment emphasizes how pigeons can symbolize hope after turmoil. Doves are next mentioned several times in the book of Leviticus. This book is primarily focused on the laws and regulations for the Israelites, especially concerning rituals, sacrifices, and the duties of the temple priests. As we heard, by serving as a sacrifice in the temple, pigeons highlight the idea of giving something valuable for atonement. Moving on to the New Testament, the 2nd chapter of Luke relates of Mary and Joseph presenting Jesus at the temple. They offered a pair of turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons. This act not only demonstrated that Mary and Joseph were observant Jews with humble means, it also emphasizes the significance of the pigeon as a symbol of purity in the eyes of God. Jesus mentioned pigeons in his teachings. For example, in Matthew chapter 10, Jesus advised his followers to be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves, thus illustrating the need for wisdom combined with purity in one's actions. Since Unitarian Universalism has Christian roots, I like to consider the symbols found in the Bible, such as pigeons, and I consider how they might relate to our 7 shared values of Unitarian Universalism. So as stated in the UUA bylaws, love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Pigeons bond for life. As humans, we might interpret this behavior as a sign of love or accountability. Pigeons regurgitate so-called crop milk to feed their young. Although I can't see the chicks' young faces very clearly here, my first thought was that those are truly faces that only a parent could love. In any case, like humans, pigeons brood their young until they are nearly full grown. Do pigeons hold other pigeons accountable? Do flocks of pigeons share values? I'm not ready to go that far in likening pigeon behavior to human behavior. Love. Pigeons have inspired love from people. Any idea who this is? Oh, it's captioned now. My slide was not captioned. It's Nikola Tesla, the Serbian-American engineer and physicist known for his groundbreaking work in electric power. He was a technical genius with some eccentric aspects to his behavior. Tesla regularly fed pigeons in a nearby park, which many people do, but he reportedly said about one particular white pigeon, "I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loved me. As long as I had her, there was a purpose to my life." Perhaps this anecdote explains why Tesla never married. Let's move on and consider the other 6 inseparable and intersecting UU values. We work to be a diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all feel welcome and thrive. We can see the diversity of pigeons here. These birds are all members of the same species, Columba livia. And you can see the range of colors and different patterns. And in the photo on the right, there's an all-white pigeon there. But multiculturalism requires more than just diversity in the physical coloration of feathers or skin. These pigeons certainly seem to be thriving, but do all these pigeons feel welcome? Equity. We declare that every pigeon is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. So pigeons reside on all continents except Antarctica. So they are certainly flourishing. But sadly, many people do not affirm their inherent dignity and worthiness. For example, in the 1980 film Stardust Memories, Woody Allen jokingly referred to city pigeons as rats with wings. I laughed then, but my perspective has changed. Because during the course of history, humans created new environments which unwittingly fueled the proliferation of the feral pigeons that we disparage today. Prior to humans building cities and dispersing around the globe, the native range for the wild rock dove extended from Western Europe through the Middle East to India. They were not native to the Americas. Aware of the wild rock dove habitat when he wrote in chapter 48, "Leave the cities and dwell on the rock, O inhabitants of Moab. Be like the dove that nests in the sides of the mouth of a gorge." Humans domesticated rock doves in the Middle East around 6,000 years ago. They were initially valued as a food source and may have been the first domesticated bird. It might seem odd that a species which prefers remote, difficult-to-access cliffs was domesticated. But this process did not initially involve capture or selective breeding, merely providing an alternative place to nest, perhaps a simple building with rows or ledges or clay pots along its internal walls. The pigeons themselves were given little food because they could fly off to forage elsewhere. Thus, without requiring much attention, Each pair could produce about 10 squabs a year. Pigeons were thus a low-cost, high-quality source of protein. The structures built to house pigeons, known as dovecotes, became widespread during the Middle Ages in Iran, the Middle East, and parts of Western Europe. The largest structures could accommodate thousands of breeding pairs. And that many birds creates a lot of guano, which was a valuable plant fertilizer due to its high nitrogen content. So domesticated pigeons were selected and bred from wild rock doves and given free shelter near human settlements. When the dovecotes got full or were abandoned, those domesticated birds flew the coop and became feral. Many of them stayed around our villages, towns, and cities because we created new ledges for them, and we often leave food scraps and extra seeds around. Domesticated rock doves were introduced to North America from Europe in the early 1600s. As in Europe, some of them went feral and proliferated and adapted to our human-built environment. Generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We've already seen that doves are a symbol of hope in the Old Testament. Moreover, I imagine that modern city pigeons are always hopeful for that next offering of breadcrumbs. But gratitude, I'm not sure that pigeons express gratitude to each other or to the people that feed them. Interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence and acknowledge our place in it. We have already seen that pigeons thrive in the human-built environment and that humans have relied on pigeons for food and fertilizer. Pigeons have a behavioral characteristic that has made them valuable to humans, their homing instinct. That is, they will fly back to their home roost even when transported and released from hundreds of miles away. As we heard about in the children's story, that behavior was used in various wars to carry news across enemy lines and various danger zones. The ceremonial white doves that I mentioned earlier will return to the dovecote maintained by their commercial handler. And pigeon racing is a very popular event in some locales, especially in China and parts of Asia. There's even a website about it if you're curious. So far, I've focused on one species, Columba livia, but the common pigeon is just one of 350 species in the Columbidae family. That family includes 150 species named pigeon and 180 species named dove. I want to mention two other pigeon species that have had significant interaction with humans, for better or for worse. In the 1300s of the Common Era, the Maori people of eastern Polynesia discovered and settled in modern New Zealand. They noticed this beautiful plump bird on the left there and named it the kareru. I'm not sure if that word had any other significance to them. At some point, the Maori determined that the kareru was a... After European settlements expanded in the 19th century, kareru came under threat from introduced mammalian predators, from hunting, and from habitat degradation. In recent decades, the New Zealand government has enacted various laws to protect various endemic bird species, resulting in a growing kareru population. The right-hand picture is Audubon's painting of a pigeon species that was native to North America, the passenger pigeon. The story of this species is the opposite of interdependence, namely exploitation. The next slide shows a flock of passenger pigeons from the early 1800s. They were the most numerous animal in North America when the European colonists arrived. Their flocks numbered 1 billion individuals. According to Audubon, the famed bird artist, their flocks darkened the sky when they flew over. Let's return to consider our remaining UU values. Transformation. We adapt to the changing world. I already described how wild rock doves gave rise to domesticated pigeons, and that when some of those domesticated birds got loose, they gave rise to feral pigeons. From this perspective, pigeons stayed fundamentally the same while adapting as humans transformed the world around them. Charles Darwin did not profess to love pigeons, but he seemed to have an inordinate fondness for them. The first 70 pages of his groundbreaking book on the origin of species by means of natural selection was about pigeons. Others wondered where these races or varieties of fancy pigeons came from. So he bred pigeons for 12 years in an effort to understand the process and the extent of variation under domestication. He showed that the seemingly mundane wild rock doves contained the potential for a wide variety of colors, patterns, and behaviors. If humans could create varieties of fancy pigeons in a few centuries by artificial selection of certain traits, that's plausible that given sufficient time, some sort of natural selection process could create the amazing diversity of birds as well as all other species. Our final value to consider here is pluralism. We are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. Pigeons are smart. Researchers have shown that pigeons can be trained to discriminate Picasso paintings from Monet's. However, there is no evidence that they are